the gazebo. I was using the word gondola accidentally before and Mox was making fun of me for it.
He was getting ridiculed. It's okay.
It was merciless, friends.
Well,
he was being so mean to me.
He's from South Africa, so these hard words,
Yeah, yes, that's the excuse we'll use.
Welcome to Disparate Worlds, where an irresistible force meets an immovable object. I'm Mox, and this is Sakari, and we're comparing and contrasting the worlds of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen and Ashes of Creation.
Yes, that we are doing. Hello and welcome to you, friends. Good to have you with us. Welcome to Disparate Worlds, episode 15, where sometimes we disappear for a while, and then we come back.
Yes, we're back like a bad itch.
Right, that you just can't get rid
exactly.
of. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the world has been abuzz with news and information and cool things happening in both games. And guess where Mox and I have been?
Moving me.
Well, you moved. You moved. I had a broken pipe that somehow happened in 70-plus degree weather here in Texas after the whole freeze.
Right.
I was dealing with that. I had a huge project at work that was like 3 weeks long that all boils down to me to coordinate the whole wretched thing. You had internet issues
yes.
the last couple days. It's like this episode is cursed.
Well, I hope not. I hope it brings in lots of new viewers who subscribe and hit like.
Yeah, I hope it's not cursed as well, but you never know.
Never know.
In fact, even now, just as you were speaking, it glitched on you, and I thought I'd lost you. So this is going to be fun.
Yay!
This is going to be fun. Let's try to make this work. Okay. So this episode, we will be sharing our thoughts on the new Ashes of Creation website, and we'll of course be reviewing what we've seen on the Pantheon side. The content creators had a playthrough of the Pantheon Evaluators build, the evaluation build, I think they call it, right? They all played it. It was great. It was fun to watch over their shoulder as they played, so we will be offering our comments on that. Typically, we try to split up and do an Ashes of Creation episode and a Pantheon episode. We've got too much to catch up on. So, as always, timestamps will be down below. If you prefer to skip to specific content that you're interested in, by all means do that. It will not hurt our feelings. We promise.
Right.
Yes, of course. First, let us do, as usual, the news. So, on the Ashes of Creation side, and there's actually quite a stack of news here, Mox.
No, there's not.
Has been coming out from...
No, there's not.
From the Ashes.
There's no news.
How about I do this fast? Yeah, he's still trying to be competitive, friends, and prove that his game is... I forgot that we were even doing that. I thought that everything was fine between...
We're supposed to hug it out, right?
Right. So, February 26th, we got our development update, the regular live stream.
Right.
The notable things about that was that they spoke about the website, which has since gone live. They were just talking about it as if it was still coming at the time.
Right.
So, we're going to comment on that. We'll keep our discussion on that separate for our discussion. But they spoke about the website. And then, probably the other notable thing was that Steven mentioned at the time that he cannot commit to Alpha 1 sales reopening.
Right.
Which was dubious to begin with, right, Mox? We didn't expect...
I don't know if dubious is the right word, but it definitely was just, it's not confirmed. Like, they're considering it. Like, and they haven't ruled it out, so that's the upside.
Yeah.
So they had a test session that brought up some concerns, and they were dealing with those concerns before they make that decision. I think it has to do with server loads, is my guess from what they talked about.
Yeah, it sounded that way to me as well. Like, you try it with a smaller group, and then you realize, hold on a moment, it's not going to support more.
Right.
But we know what we need to do to get it there. And that's the whole idea, right? Is that they're increasing, the populations of these testers with every session, so that as they proceed through, they will have more of an understanding and know more what to do and address those issues.
Yeah.
So. Here's hoping. I would still love to see some Alpha 1 sales reopen, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Right.
More on Alpha 1 here in a second. In the meanwhile, Root of Conquest, the next cosmetic set, went live March 3rd. This one is an Empyrean elf theme. Empyrean is my chosen starter race. I just love their whole Roman theme. So there's a few items here. The gazebo. I was using the word gondola accidentally before and Mox was making fun of me for it.
He was getting ridiculed. That's okay.
It was merciless, friends.
Well,
he was being so mean to me.
He's from South Africa, so these hard words,
Yeah, yes, that's the excuse we'll use. So
I have a question about this set.
Sure.
What's the pocket watch? And what are the keys?
The keys are alpha and beta. That I know. You get, in the an alpha key and a beta key, right? I'm not so sure about the watch. I don't know if I've ever thought. I do know that there's coins. There is an in-game coinage that I've already been starting to stack up.
Okay.
So I know that's happening. I'll have to get back to you on the watch.
Maybe it's game time. Could it be game time?
It's possible. Yeah, that's what I'm leaning toward, but I don't know for sure.
Fair enough. Yeah, I
look at the donkey though. The donkey jackrabbit.
Again,
mount.
But as you mentioned, you don't have to buy everything. You can get what you like. Yeah. I like that ram. I think that ram's cool. I could see a big framed character sitting on that ram, or even a super tiny gnome-like character sitting on that.
I don't know if that's a pet though. I know that the donkey jackrabbit, whatever that's
you think
called,
that might be a pet?
Is a mount because it has a saddle.
Oh.
Chances are the other one is a pet.
I could totally see a gnome peeking out from above those horns and then blasting somebody to oblivion, with some tinkered rifle of oblivion.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or, somebody could get their kneecaps broken by your ram mount. Who knows?
Either one.
Maybe there will be a ram mount at some stage. I don't know.
It's a decent set. Yeah. I don't have complaints about it.
Yeah, I love the Roman look to it, and I think I got the chariot, I think I got the armor, and I think I got the gazebo.
Oh, okay.
Very cool. Yeah, and the cool thing is at the level, I'm a Voyager Plus level, so I'm able to opt in and pick and choose of every set what I want and what I don't want.
Right, so lower tiers may only have the armor available, or may only have the mount available, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
cool.
Yeah. And then you can up your level, and then you have more things available to you, which I think is pretty clever. That's very well thought out.
It is.
All right, I promised I would be going through this, but you slowed me down, sir.
Sorry.
All right, so March 12th. Website update, of course. They posted notes about the Alpha 1 schedule and have actually made some adjustments. This actually happened, I think, Friday. We're recording this now early in the next week, but they've shifted some things back. I think they learned some things enough from the recent testing session that made them really have to stop and address before this and change the timeline out as a result.
Right.
So I think the preview session is May 14th through 21st. That looks like it's going to be I think a week there. That's when the NDA lifts, and then the session formerly scheduled for the entire month of April has now been shifted back to June.
Right.
So we're looking at a 2-month delay on Alpha 1, which is interesting. You and I were talking, Mox, some before this episode about, just kind of conjecture. Well, if Alpha 1 is now, when do we expect Alpha 2? When do we expect Beta 1 and Beta 2? Right. I'm guessing that probably we'll be through all of this by the end of next year. I don't know if that's a realistic thing. I don't think I need to make an adjustment to my conjecture.
Did you read that in tea leaves, or look at the stars, or did you throw bones? What was your method of prognostication?
Sir, I borrowed a skill from Pantheon. Make it up as you go.
Hey, that's cold, man. I need some burn cream.
I don't know. I didn't have anything a better comment.
You don't have a scientific method for figuring that out. Just pick a date.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
I was going to use an enchanter ability and see if that works.
Fair enough. All right. Well,
so
on the Pantheon side, the news is shorter but not less impactful. That's for sure. Nefel is busy making a media circuit. Apparently, he started with us and has gone on to a couple other places, and he was featured on the Developer Roundtable on March 5th. So we will again have a link to that. So check that out and get further information on crafting in Pantheon. And then the big news, and something we'll be covering again a little later in the episode, deeper, was the evaluation build playthrough with some content creators. That was like a big like surprise. Like I was like, wow, man, they got all these guys that gain access and get to play, and they get to they get to kill off Ronik. Like, man, that's like a dream, right?
And then stand around and laugh at him.
Right.
That was kind of fun to watch. He's like, no, you guys.
So yeah, we'll talk about that more later, but that, again, we will have links to that as well as all of the individual creators' portions of that, because they each kind of recorded their perspective, and they got to kind of play around, and then they did stuff as a group. So it was a really interesting way they did it, and I really admire the Pantheon guys for reaching out to the community, grabbing those guys and putting them in there and saying, have at it. And they upped the difficulty from the stuff, which we mentioned. One of the things we had mentioned about the stream was it seemed like this is super easy. There was a challenge to it. Like, there was times when they felt rushed because of respawns, and I'm probably going into stuff that I should be in the main part, but
I can tell you can't wait.
Yes, I can't.
Which is, I guess, good.
All right. So, but wrapping up the news, there was a very interesting Twitter exchange started by Basgrim. Basgrim is really a smart content creator. He has his finger on the pulse of Pantheon, and he apparently discovered that the Pantheon Facebook fan page was shut down by the admin, because the admin was trying to push people to the Ashes side of things. And
I guess you can chalk we've got another Ashes person. At least.
Yeah, but
in our never-ending battle for
like, if you don't want to do that anymore, like if your focus has moved away from Pantheon, don't do it in a way that like makes you look bad. Like, it just makes him look bad. Like, so
yeah, I mean, you could just step out, hand the admin over to someone else,
exactly,
and bow out.
Right.
I think that was probably the right approach there.
But both Steven Sharif and Chris Perkins have weighed in, and basically we're disappointed in this. That it's not the type of cooperation they want to see. These guys have a very respectful business, relationship. They're happy to support each other. They understand that their core market is different, and while there's going to be people that play both games, they also understand that they're really targeting different people. It's
more than that, though. I think they both understand the idea that a rising tide floats all ships.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They are good to each other. In fact, showing right now is a picture that Basgrim also took. We stole it from his Twitter account so we could show it on the show. But just the developers talking to each other, right, at some con, and just kind of catching up. That's cool.
Yeah.
And I like that. Even though to some degree in the MMO sphere they're competitive,
right?
They don't need. It doesn't need to be an awful experience. Everybody can enjoy each other's company and be mutually supportive, and I just love that about those guys, that they're like that, and I think it bodes well for our show as well.
Yeah.
Like, here we are covering these two separate things because we're both fans of them respectively,
right?
And I just love to see that happening, between the developers of the two specifically that we've chosen to cover. I just think
exactly. There's plenty of room in the MMO space for both games, so.
Absolutely.
So Basgrim did start up a new Pantheon Facebook group, and I guess if we can link to that, we will in our description. Sure. So
I think he may be promoting another one that was already there. I don't know if he started a new one or if
I think he started a new one, like, because the one that was there is no longer there. So right. I think he started a brand new one. So we have already joined it as like on our joint Facebook page, like our Disparate Worlds Facebook page, and then I joined it myself. So definitely check that out.
Okay, Mr. Mox.
Yes.
We wanted to take a second just to offer our thoughts, really, with regard to the coming quote-unquote website. Mm-hmm. At least that's the news we've been hearing.
Right.
But as of this recording, that thing is live. The new Ashes of Creation website. It's out there. Margaret was showing it during their live streams. When I went to ashesofcreation.com, there it was.
Yep.
So, It's out. It doesn't feel. Let me ask you for your impressions. To me, it doesn't feel. Cosmetically, it's different right now to the old one, but functionally, it feels exactly the same.
I was
right
underwhelmed to start.
Okay.
Like, I went there and I'm like, this is almost identical to the other one. There's no information about races. There's no information about classes. Yeah. There's really no information about the game. Like, it's barely
And we've had
there.
this criticism in the past, right? Like, we need to know more.
But she mentioned in the live stream that, and this came at like towards the end of the discussion about it, that they are going to be adding in more stuff. So I am going to, overall, I will reserve judgment until I see what it is they're adding in and what the functionality, because they've promised a lot. So let's talk about a little bit about what they've promised.
Yes. Okay. So the easy stuff that's coming is information on the game.
Right.
This is something that you and I were both hoping was going to happen, and we noticed that there was a bit of a shortfall in a previous episode.
Right.
We need more information on the game. You guys have to tell us on your website more about the node system, lore, classes, races. Those things have all promised.
Right.
So that is going to be coming out. I guess with this new website, they had to just kind of transition the old content or the existing content over into a format where they could then scale that and build on that and add pages as necessary. So, okay, they're repositioned. And that's fine.
Right.
But now the coming features are pretty cool. They've been speaking a little bit about updates to the shop.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to make that look better. Everything's like a nice golden brown right now. It's a very soothing, comfortable theme. Account and profile, that's coming there, where they're going to extend the theme colors and the branding to those aspects of the website. But then Steven started talking about, he dropped the word integrations.
Right.
Integrations with the game. And as a software person, that makes me happy, because I know what all that means. So, and I don't know, Mox, if you've ever had any integrations that you've seen with websites that you thought were cool.
World of Warcraft had a in-game or an app that you could run. There was an aspect of the game where you could send a companion out on a mission, and you could actually monitor that from your cell phone and refresh the missions, collect your rewards, and do all that stuff. So you didn't have to log in game. You could do it throughout the day, and it gave you resources and stuff for building up your base.
You log in and you have those.
Right.
Yeah,
so it was very cool. So I definitely like this. And also, maybe it'll give you a warning. Oh my gosh, your node is has been declared to be under attack, and this is going to happen because they said you'll have warning. So maybe you'll get that warning on your phone. So that's kind of cool.
Yes. Yeah, especially when your node goes into siege.
Right.
I want to know about it. So that needs. And if they have a phone app, I think that would be very helpful. And I think they did maybe mention there'd be some mobile phone stuff. That looks good.
Right.
The last integration I ever saw with a game was actually close to the launch of Ion. There was a Java applet that you could launch on the website and log in and see a character. And you could turn your character around and see how you kitted them out. And that was very cool.
Oh, yeah. Warcraft had the Armory, which was a website, based thing that you could look at your characters, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the very start of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, definitely, I think the more you can integrate with a game and have, especially with a mobile app, I think that's exceptionally important now.
Right.
I want those notifications when anything that threatens my world, my little comfortable spot there in my node. I want to know about
right.
it. So.
You need that notification. Your pipe has burst.
Yes, I do. Trust me, I do. So yeah, and then there was some talk about guilds, right? The idea of, hey, our guild is recruiting. This is our type of guild. We're looking for certain classes. Maybe scheduling of events, doing all of that through a website so that people can access that outside of the game, I think is exceptionally important as well. So very cool to see that stuff come.
Yeah, I like the idea of the guild recruiting, because sometimes looking in game can be a little cumbersome. So I do I think those are all good directions. I think everything they listed is great. It is a long list, and I hope they can deliver on it.
Yes, we both do. That's for sure.
So, as we mentioned in the news, there was a content creator's playthrough of the evaluation build of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. The community participants or content creator participants were Basgrim, NathanNapalm, Minus, and Theric. Basgrim has his Basgrim TV. NathanNapalm, YouTube creator, has his channel. Minus and Theric are both from Pantheon Plus. And they were joined by Ronick, and I thought it was a.
You mean the dead guy?
He was the weight, the dead weight, literally at points the dead weight. Poor Ronick. We've never even met him, but I feel like he accepts his lot in life.
He's the guinea pig, right? We've called him the guinea pig before,
right.
So poor Ronick.
So anyway, the group makeup, Ronick played a shaman that was running DPS and support by debuffing and things of that nature. Basgrim also played a shaman, but as a healer. It was neat to see that you can have two of the same class, but they serve different purposes.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
And then Nathan played a Dire Lord tank. Minus was playing a rogue, but he wasn't concentrating on DPS. He was concentrating on being support and crowd control, and I have to tell you, he did a stellar job.
He was very good, yeah.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Very tactical. Yeah. Very he says he talks a lot, and yes, he did talk a lot. But that's the kind of group that when you're in that type of game and you have to worry about CC and how many am I pulling and what are the patrols, I want to hear all that information. And he did a fantastic job. He was doing a lot of
leadership as well. You know, he was leading actively, saying, "Okay, hey," because granted, he's able to go invis, and then he was able to slip around a corner and tell them what was coming, what he saw, and so he was passing a lot of information to Nathan, who would then, run in and pick up, and then find a spot to put his back against the wall. Very good coordination.
Yeah. And then I think they only had like one bad pull, and they wiped, which you would call a bad pull. Other than that, they did this for like an hour and a half. They did a great job. Yeah. And then Theric played a wizard, straight up DPS. Fantastic.
Yes. They needed somebody to do the DPS.
Right. Well, you had so much utility. Had Ronick, who was doing DPS as the shaman. You had Nathan was still doing DPS as the tank. Yeah. It was just. I thought it was good.
It got them through. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, there's going to be links for all of the stuff. Everyone recorded their 3-hour playthrough.
Right.
And it was great because every one of them had like an hour to just basically explore the place, get up to speed, learn some skills, put things on their bar, look through, and every one of them has shared their experience with that.
Right.
And then Pantheon, the official release, I think the one that Ronick recorded, was really what was different, which was going down into the crystal caves and then experiencing the group playthrough.
Right.
We've seen all the rest of the stuff with Co-Carnage's playthrough and stuff, so that to me was not that different.
They went a different way, so that's a big big area. So they were able to go a different direction. Kind of, they ended up at the same point where they picked up their relic and or artifact it's called. They picked up their artifact. They were all floaty then and had some protection from the environment, and then went and fought the big bad guy. So
together.
Oh, and then they went and fought the big bad spider, which was cool too.
Yes. All right.
I think somebody died on the way to that too. Didn't they jump down and fall or like something? Yeah, it was good stuff.
Yeah.
Death is good.
Yeah, no, it was very good. So, links to all of their stuff down below. We'll let you, including Basgrim's 15-minute highlights.
Right.
If you just want to kind of get a quick idea and you don't have time for everybody's 3-hour coverage, that's definitely the one that we would send you to. So go check that out.
And then Pantheon Plus had a recap with some special guests. We'll have a link to that as well. Special guests would have been Joppa and Ronick kind of answering questions from the audience. And again, I love the accessibility that Joppa and the rest of the dev team gives to the community. Like, they're giving up their nighttime. Like, that's, they don't have to do that, and they're willing to get out there and help us to learn to love their hard work.
Yes, absolutely. And we have questions, things that we want to know, and I love that we can ask those questions and they will answer them directly.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it's
so
fantastic.
We hear right from the people designing it. It's very cool.
All right.
So I don't know. Do you want to do some coverage of some of the things that we saw?
I was gonna say your list is longer. Why don't we start with your list and then we'll add mine? Because I thought everything was great. I enjoyed it. So I have one big
Not surprised.
concern.
Good.
So let's go through your list and then we'll bring up my concern.
Okay, sure. I don't know. So I just, as I was going through watching the coverage, I was just jotting down a thing or two that occurred to me.
Or 9.
Or 9 of them, yes. A thing or 9. But we did, we did cover Carnage's look at this recently.
Right.
And so I was looking specifically for some of those differences.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed, Mox, no shiny hair.
Ooh, excellent.
Nobody's hair caught on fire. I think we are doing pretty good.
Oh, by the way, before we go through all this, I do want to mention that we do understand that this is an evaluation pre-alpha build. These are just our thoughts on how things stand right at this moment. We are not criticizing the game. We are not we're not throwing torches at anybody's faces or hair. This is just things that we've noticed now that are positive and or negative and are concerns, and we hope get addressed. That's all. So I just want to say,
and not even some of them aren't even concerns.
Yeah,
you mentioned positive.
Right.
Sometimes where we see things that we love, and we're going to point them out. We just want to be critical in how we approach this and think things through and offer our thoughts and feed. But Joppa, we don't mean to break your heart, sir.
Right.
Like we love your work.
Exactly.
I want to make sure we put that out there. And all of your team, by the way. I know that
yes.
When we criticize some specific aspect, we are actually criticizing somebody's hard work.
Right.
And I don't want it to be, misconstrued or understood in that we hated it.
Right.
We don't. I trust me, you don't want to see the kind of things I would create. You don't want to see it. So.
All right.
But I mean, so let's start with the hair. The hair looked great.
Okay.
I just thought it was phenomenal.
As I mentioned, I didn't even notice the hair. So you said, hey, if you don't notice something, then that's a good thing. So
absolutely, yeah. When something is not noticed, it means it was done right.
Yeah.
It's when things are noticed that's when there's something. Unless you're specifically looking for things. So.
Right. I
don't know, the shadows, the textures, the high definition of those crystals. It looked phenomenal.
Right.
I thought the graphics, the lighting in that fortress Deviar looked incredible. Every time I see it, I'm just it looks better than it did the time before. And I don't know if you
I
think
agree.
Similarly.
The only graphics wise, the only thing that I still am not a fan of is when that poison effect hits and it totally obscures your vision. Like I still think that needs to be tuned back a little bit, and I hope that that's something they're considering, because that would be super irritating to and especially if you're in an instance where there's a crystal poking out around every corner, like it's going to be happening.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
Yeah. So that's my only criticism there.
Yeah, and I think so too. And we made note of that during the our coverage.
Right.
That it was very strong. It probably, if they dial back the opacity on it, I think.
Right.
Or I guess it's increased the opacity.
Well, basically, you want it to be heavy at the edges, and if you're going to have it cover the whole thing, it should fade to the center.
Yes. It's just enough to let you know, hey, by the way, you've been poisoned, and not something, that obscures, you can't see what you're doing.
Right. I mean, unless the poison is supposed to be blinding you, then I guess that might make some sense. So.
Yeah, maybe so. Poison and blinded. What kind of conditioned super stack is this, sir? I don't know. So one of the things I enjoyed seeing was our class role flexibility. We've already kind of touched on this. Yeah. I was looking at the way Minus was playing, and he was saying, hey, I'm spending my time doing more crowd control. I'm rooting. I am kind of sleeping things before they get to us. And I don't know if it was Joppa that commented, oh, yeah, by the way, you can play that way. Go for it. But what it's going to do is cost you some of the DPS potential when you do that.
Yeah.
So I love that you can have your skills on your bar, but the role you choose to play, and sometimes you have to call an audible, right? You're in the situation, and you realize the group has a need, and then you step in to fill that role. Well, if that role isn't a DPS, you can't do that and DPS.
Right.
Although maybe to some degree you can, right? But there is a cost to the DPS now because you're spending more time doing crowd control, for
exactly.
instance.
But
So step into utility, step into some kind of a support or debuff, type of role.
right.
It's necessary and it does contribute, but it just means that you can't necessarily cover both roles.
Right, that's group mechanics. Herein lies the difference between Pantheon and a game like World of Warcraft, where somebody can't have somebody that can do everything. Like they can CC a mob and rule the DPS charts. It's choices, and obviously the two shaman, Ronick and Basgrim, had to make a choice. I'm sure that Ronick's healing numbers weren't as good as Basgrim's because Basgrim was focused on healing. But then on the other side of the coin, Ronick, Basgrim was healing better. So it's a balancing act, and they needed the whole group to get through there, and clearly they need the whole group because there were times they did have the wipe, and there were times when it was tight or one person died, or it was very interesting, and the type of dungeon crawl that I enjoy as opposed to just running through, pulling an entire room and AoEing them down. Like, it's no fun.
And I love the complicated mechanics that suddenly show up.
Yeah.
Situational mechanics. When your tank goes down, right? Oh, goodness, we lost the tank. Now who's tanking? Right? Now it's going to come for the next person that has the next highest threat.
Right. Which is usually the healer.
Right? And so now it's like, okay, well, what do I do? Now suddenly it's player versus environment even more, because usually your tank is going to put his back against the wall. And, you're going to find a spot where, your rogue can slip in behind him and have that sweet spot of rogue
and
DPS.
Those frontal AoE effects are going to the tank.
All of it's very well managed, but then when the tank goes down, suddenly the whole situation shifts, and you have to come up. Do we kite? We can't. There's crystals around.
Right.
All of that. And you and I have spoken about environments in Pantheon before, and how player versus environment is not just the mobs.
It's not.
It's very literally the environment as well.
Exactly.
So to see that in play was very cool as well.
It sounds like you're excited about combat, but I know that you did have some concerns
with the combat specifically.
Yeah. Didn't you say it felt restrictive?
Oh yes. Well, so recent coverage from the Ashes of Creation live stream had them on a beach.
Mm-hmm.
With all of this space, and everybody was running around and strafing and throwing fireballs, and it was very open and very mobile.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to this coverage of Pantheon, where it was in a very restricted space, and nobody can really move, and you're very much having to pick a less than ideal spot to stand, to position. If you step slightly too much one direction, you're getting poisoned from the crystals.
Right.
So I don't know. There's a conversation going on in my head about comparing these two games, as we do, comparing and contrasting Ashes and Pantheon, about how much more deliberate and focused, and I definitely think I feel the global cooldown more in Pantheon, where I'm casting a spell. There it is. Now I'm drawing the essence. There it is.
Right.
Now I'm, you know what I'm saying? It feels very turn-based on an individual basis, even though everybody's kind of doing their thing, pushing through their global cooldowns. That just seems to me very much more deliberate, and so maybe I'm trying to be fair and consider how the environment may affect that as well.
I mean, partially it's the environment,
very deliberate,
but partially it's also, Pantheon is not built the same way Ashes is. Ashes is built on that hybrid combat system, right? There's this partial tab targeting and partial action, right?
Right. And may also be engine.
Yeah.
An engine-related thing. You know, sometimes that's part of it as well. So I'm trying to think about what all the factors might be that may make combat in Ashes of Creation feel so free-flowing and mobile versus so deliberate and you have to think about what you're doing, right? They were having to time their interrupts.
Right.
Very carefully. Okay, interrupt the heal. Now you interrupt the heal. Okay, and while mine was on cooldown. And it's a very different kind of fun. It's coordinated fun. Right?
Yeah.
Compared to the free-flowing throw a fireball, now dodge this kind of thing that you see happening in Ashes. To me, that's fascinating, and I want to study this more as we do further episodes. But
I think that we won't really know until we're able to play both games.
Sure.
Because
I mean, I don't expect it to change very much. I would just like to think.
Well, no, I mean just to get our hands on it and do it. Like then we'll know, like kind of how does it really feel. Like it's you can watch and get an idea, but you really don't know because even I think it was Basgrim said that the game felt different to him this time around versus the last time he played. So, I think getting in there and actually playing will make a huge difference. And the time will come, both games are approaching our access. Each day gets us a day closer, as our friend Nathan says.
Likes to say, every single day, we're one day closer.
Exactly.
That's a good thing to just keep that in mind, because that's what's going to get you through all the stinking waiting that we're having to do.
Yeah.
So, another observation. It was the perception, the passive perception system, which I actually really like as a mechanic.
Yeah.
The idea that if you get your perception up to a certain level, as you're walking through an area, it's like, hey, guess what? You notice that between this pillar and that something in the wall, these things are flitting or moving. I forget exactly what it was that they noticed, right? But then makes you stop and think, okay, well, what is it here about this that does it? And is there anything significant? Is there maybe treasure? Is this maybe a way out of this cave? It prompts you to investigate something. So there's that passive, I really like that mechanic. The one thing I think I don't like about it is when you're in the middle of combat and you're having to pay attention. Okay, you fired off your interrupt. Now I fire off my interrupt. Okay, my cooldown is done. You fired off yours. Here's mine. Bloop, there it is showing up, and it says something, and I have to read it now and pay attention to that when I'm trying to pay attention to something else?
Yeah.
Here, maybe what I would offer is just have something there that says, "Hey, you've noticed something that you need to acknowledge," right? And I can fight my way through this fight and then click it. And then when I now have the time to now acknowledge what is it that I noticed.
Right.
I think that would be helpful instead of it showing up.
Makes sense.
During combat.
Right.
Yes.
I know you mentioned the spell effects, and this brings me back to actually thinking about the last time we saw, or that first time we saw Steven play Ashes, and the spell effects they were in that castle doing like a raid on the castle, and the spell effects were ginormous and overtuned, and I really think that the Pantheon guys have the spell effects at a good point, and I appreciate that.
They do. There's once I think it was a heal spell, a shaman spell, had that bird show up above people's heads. I just thought that was incredible. Definitely not as particly, or not as showy as what we see in Ashes of Creation.
Right.
There's particles and explosions, and bombs that go off, and like meteors. You don't see that kind of pizzazz. But I agree. Well tuned. They're not overwhelming to where I can't really see what's going on in this fight. And also I think that helps some in situations like in this cave, where there's a lot of contrast.
Right.
When things are very dark, I don't want bright,
absolutely.
like just hitting me in the face constantly. So the fact that they weren't overwhelming despite being in such a high contrast environment, I think was good.
Have we seen a cave in Ashes yet? I mean, they've talked about like the under area, like the under traveling area. Have we?
We have, but they're well lit. I mean, we've gone down to fight that dragon at one stage. We saw that, And,
that was more of a dungeon, though, not a cave, right?
Yeah, no, not this kind of cave. Chances are there's something out there that we're unaware of.
Yeah, I'm sure. I just was curious if we had, and I missed
viewers will point out.
Yeah.
If you're aware of something, link it, guys.
For sure.
We would, we have our collection of things that we like to show over the top of our discussion.
Right.
And if there's something that we're referring to that you are aware of and we're not, by all means point it out. We'll be happy to take a look for sure.
Yep.
Only other thing I have on my list speaks to Nathan's fear. I love how he dropped the joke and it was like, dude, TMI. Like he was like, this is COVID, dude. I'm not wearing pants. I thought that was funny. I thought it was funny, Nathan. I've got your back, sir. But but then I think there was a pants drop at some stage. He got some pants. They were like, "Here, you should put these on." So, because he had mentioned in our crafting coverage when we did it, I think last episode with him, it had occurred to him that he felt like crafting may be too much of a source of gear, of equipable gear. And he was worried that there wouldn't be so much that would come off of drops. And I think that if I were in his shoes, my fears, would be largely addressed. We saw a mace drop. We saw pants.
One thing,
goodness.
Joppa did mention that the drop rate of items was increased in here due to the nature of the evaluation build.
Oh, okay.
So there will be drops, but I don't think it will be quite on the rate that we saw them in that build.
Yeah. Well, okay. So it's good that they are able to adjust it. And what company developing a game wouldn't make it so that you can adjust the drop rate? And Neff has spoken to us before about that they can fine-tune drop rates if there's not enough or something, and that they are monitoring how much is out there. So I think it speaks well that they can, tweak those things on the fly. That means that there's not a problem with it. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd be watching that as well to make sure that there is enough stuff dropping out in the world to make the game playable. Because not everything you can get crafting or knowing people just yet to craft things for you. So.
Speaking of that, the adjusting of it, apparently they had an actual investor looking at this stuff and playing through the evaluation build, and they only had like an hour before the content creators were doing it, and like they were able to update and change everything and up the difficulty and all that stuff they wanted to do in that time, which is just spectacular. So again, kudos to the devs. All right, so all excellent points, sir. I give you high points. You brought up.
I did my homework.
You brought up some excellent things. You looked at it from a point of view which I didn't. Like you said, hey, we saw this code build. This build, what's different, what's better, what's worse. So I think it's great. So yeah, there we have it. The 4 content creators and Ronik, the anchor, have gone through the Fortress of Dever, and they have slain the spider, they've slain the big bad boss, and I enjoyed it. I think it was great. Again, thank you to the devs for reaching out to the community to find some people to play the game and to showcase it. I think it was great.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely with you. Ronik the guinea pig, I think at some stage we'll have to try to have him on to talk about all of his exploits as the test subject.
Yes.
over there. Visionary realm. So
all right, so Comquest, I'm sad to say that as we mentioned in the last episode, NathanNapalm is a purveyor of puppetry, and he wants to make a puppet of somebody from Disparate Worlds, and with a staggering voter turnout of 1 single voter. Thanks, Patrick. I lost. So Nathan will be making a rapping puppet.
You won, sir.
I won. Nathan's going to be making a puppet that raps of me. So there we go. Let's all look forward to that on Nathan's channel. If you don't already, please make sure you subscribe to Nathan and all of the content creators that participated, and any Ashes or other Pantheon content creators. Please make sure you keep an eye on them, follow them, like their stuff, subscribe, all that stuff. But first and foremost, us.
I also want to say at this juncture, Nathan, thank you so much. There's a lot of work that goes into making a puppet, and to have volunteered that's a lot of time and energy. And then he has to write and create an episode.
A rap.
I can't wait.
At least he doesn't have to spend the time on the hair, so that's more time on the rap, I guess, right?
Right. Make sure you shine it. I want that head to sparkle, sir. Thank you, Nathan. Right. Much appreciated, my friend.
So this week's Comquest, Stephen Sharif has said they're going to take the Ashes website further than any other MMO website. And have features that have never been seen before. We've mentioned some of the things that they're going to be adding, but what would you like to see on the Ashes Creation website? Let us know in the comments. We will review them. The most creative answer is going to get pinned, and you'll be the Comquerer.
come up with some cool idea.
Yeah.
We would love to hear it.
You never know.
Yeah.
It might get added in. You never, ever know. So, all right. On Facebook, we are facebook.com/disparateworlds. On Twitter, @disparateworlds. And our website is disparateworlds.org. In addition to our website, and in the description below, is a link to our Discord. Please do join us there. Oh, and by the way, I did put up another article in my Tenets of Pantheon series. So stop by disparateworlds.org and check that out, please.
Oh, yes, we promised them some things, hadn't we?
Well, we need to get on Patreon, but pipes burst, I moved, I'm going to be moving again.
Right.
It's a complicated life we have.
Yes, it's very complicated. That's our excuse. We're sticking to it. Yeah. Here's hoping we'll be able to get this episode out the door and then turn to the next one.
Yes.
We've got a lot of good things planned. That is it for us this episode, friends. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Always appreciated. Drop a comment. Please like the video. Subscribe, and then hit the notification bell if you would like not to miss upcoming episodes. That is crucial.
Yes.
All of that said, take care of yourselves, friends. Remember always to be immovable in your principles and irresistible in your passion.